Are we going live? It looks like we are. We are live. Welcome everyone to our daily success call for 2nd of June, 2021. John Lavenia here with you. And I especially want to welcome those who are tuning in live. I know we got more people that are about to show up. Jennifer's here. Amanda's here. If you're seeing this on the YouTube replay, then welcome to you as well. Glad you're here. Let's see, make sure all my settings are right. Yes, we're good. So for those of you who are brand new, and I know it's most of us here. In fact, I'm kind of brand new here too, right? Not new to doing what we're doing here, but new to this community. But for everyone who's new, what we do here is we meet each day and talk a bit about some of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, not behind the scenes necessarily with the e-commerce, the nuts and bolts training stuff, which you've got access to, but what goes on behind the scenes, like between these two ears, like what causes us to be successful or not, right? Because let's face it, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are looking to make a living online. And the question that I have to ask myself all the time is, why you, right? Why Jennifer? Why Amanda? Why Gabrielle, right? And others who are tuning in here. Why? Why are you going to stand head and shoulders above the masses? And what can I do to help facilitate that? So more important than what we do is who's doing it. I know if you've been hanging around with me for any period of time, you've heard me say that several times. And that is because, I've noticed just with tremendous, overwhelming evidence, right, that there is a major difference between people who get the result, the desired result, or exceed that, who exceed their goals, right? Because when we set goals, we're actually setting standards, not limits. Understand the difference. There's standards and then there's limits. I'm not interested in limits. I'm interested in standards and raising them to the point where they're worthy of me showing up and doing something, right? Because all of this is due for a lot of people, right? The idea of being more productive and more self-determined in how you produce the lifestyle that you desire and all that, right? So that could be a new approach for many people, especially if you've been indoctrinated for months or years or decades into the workaday world and subscribing to some corporate agenda or something, right? So here you're here to flex your muscles a little bit, your entrepreneurial muscles, and do something more self-determined, where you've got more control and therefore more freedom in your life, with money, with time, with location. Like I've been traveling for weeks now, and so I'm not in my natural habitat. Great, we can work from anywhere. But the question or the main consideration, once again, is, why you? Why are you going to pull this deal off? And what separates you from, here's all the, the rank and file hopefuls, weekenders, I'll try, right? Those people. That's not you. I hope that's not you, right? I'll try. Really? What did Yoda say? There is no try. You do or you do not. Right. That's actually some sooth right there. That's some good stuff. Thanks, George Lucas, for creating Yoda. But truly in life, we could see the dichotomy. Now, interestingly, in anything I've ever done, whether it's online business or, all the other things that I've done to, at this point, personally sell over $100 million worth of stuff. So that's my world. That's the world that I play in. I've noticed that in any business, in any opportunity, in any profession, in any industry, there's a top 2 or 3%. And it's always 2 to 3%. Isn't that interesting? How the top 2 or 3% are always only about 2 or 3%. I mean, that may sound too simple, but why? Why can't we expand that number? Why can't we make, at a top 10% or take 20% of those people? I mean, after all, there is that 80-20 rule. Doesn't that apply? Yeah, it does apply. But there's the 20% of the 20%, which is actually 4 if you're doing the math. Okay. But there's that percentage of people which really make their mark, which is, of course, what I'm interested in helping people do. Right. The whole idea of study and learning and education and personal development is that we can do things, better, stronger, faster than we did yesterday. And also better than our forebears, those who came before us and who kind of, laid out the path. Hey, we can walk that path, save ourselves a bunch of time and actually get to much higher results and do it more readily. That's what we're here to do. We're here to make a spectacle of ourselves. Now, if you're in a good way, of course. And if you're down with that idea, I want to give you one thing you can do, which is actually a collection of things, but we're going to put it into one package. And it's something that I mentioned for anyone who's new in this community and who went through like my welcome video. You got to see a little video of me. I talked a little bit about a daily method of operation, a DMO for short. And I also gave you some book recommendations. You got the books, right? All 5 of them. Yes, yes, thank you. Okay, thank you for being coachable. Do that. You'll thank me later. I know you didn't do that yet. If you didn't, but go ahead and do that. You'll thank me later. Trust me on this. I didn't just fall off the turnip truck yesterday. I know stuff. I've been in this space for 30 years. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up one of those books right now so you can see what I see. And we're going to have a quick, ultra quick discussion about this. And it's one of the first books that I would recommend that you focus on as you get things going and start preparing or altering or putting in order on your daily method of operation. Really, when you think about it, all success is orderly. When we think about that top couple of percent, right, and what gets them there and what's going to get you there, right, it's about creating order. Order. All success is orderly. And if we can create order in our mind and on our calendar, unfair advantage, my friends, unfair, like you have no competition. I like unfair advantages. We play to win, right? Unapologetically. All right. So if you're good with that, I'm going to show you how to play to win. And we're going to start with this first book that I recommended. One of the first ones I would recommend you read. And I do recommend reading a couple of books contemporaneously. We talked about this a little bit yesterday with those who tuned in here. So you can have, this one, right? And you can also have, maybe, T. Harv Eker, Secrets in a Millionaire Mind, or, Kiyosaki, Cash Flow Quadrant. The reason for doing that is because you're getting multiple inputs and you're getting multiple perspectives from people who are approaching the same goal or the same truth, right, from different angles. And then you can work out what part of that is workable in your life, right? Whatever Hal thinks, that doesn't serve me. What do I think about it, right? So consider that. And I'm going to show you just one little excerpt from this book. And if you haven't started reading it yet, and I know there's a few different versions of this. This is the main one. I think there's Miracle Morning for entrepreneurs, Miracle Morning for Martians, whatever, right? But it's the same. There's no new truth, right? It's the same doctrine, so to speak. But there is something I highlighted here as I was just flipping through this and thinking about what could I impress upon you as far as a workable approach to creating order in your own life. And here he makes an argument, and I like arguments, right? Because again, this is about what actually works, right? So if it doesn't work, throw the book in the garbage. Okay. But if it does work for you, well then, live up to it, right? Put in some order, put in some discipline for yourself. And so here he says, this book builds 3 imperative arguments. Imperative. All right. So we're going to look up imperative on that. Of vital importance, crucial, giving an authoritative command. See that? All right. So this is not a light thing. This is an imperative thing. This book builds 3 imperative arguments. Number 1, you are just as worthy, deserving, and capable of creating and sustaining extraordinary health, wealth, happiness, love, and success in your life as any other person on earth. It is absolutely crucial, not only for the quality of your life, but for the impact you make on your family, friends, clients, coworkers, children, community, and anyone whose life you touch, that you start living in alignment with that truth. Okay, so what he's saying here is, and he's putting it very simply, and that's what I appreciate about Hal. What he's saying here is that you're already worthy. That the truth is, if we're going to really get down to it, that you're very, very able. In fact, that was the second to last chapter in my first book, Integrity is Everything, for anyone who's read it. You are so able. You are so able, right? And the fact that so many times we can see, either in our own lives or observing others, that we've been cowed under. We've been, or we've diminished ourselves. You ever hear someone talk in a self-deprecating way? Well, it's just me. Well, I knew I wasn't going to reach that goal. Well, I'll try, right? All of that is self-deprecating. All of that is saying, I'm not sure that I am worthy. Now, when we think about success, this is something that I'll come back on screen here for a second. This is something that Earl Nightingale talked about. Anyone who's ever heard his classic recording, The Strangest Secret, he was talking about success. And he said, well, since we're talking about success, we've got to define success. As an author, I love words, right? I think the best self-help book ever written is The Dictionary. It is amazing. I get enlightenment every time I open it up. And he talked about success and his favorite definition of success. He said, here it is. It is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. The progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So a lot of times people think, well, when I've got the $1 million, then I'll be a success. Wrong answer. Wrong answer. The progressive, meaning we're making progress, not perfection. We haven't arrived, right? You ever hear the joys in the journey? Okay, there you go. So we're making progress and we know we are, right? Which means we're deliberately taking action. So we're progressively realizing, making real, the progressive realization of what? Of a worthy. Worthy to who? Worthy to who? Oh, worthy to you. Oh, see, a lot of people ask themselves whether they know it or not. They may not vocalize this, but they think, well, I wonder if I'm worthy of that goal. I want to make, fill in the number, right? I know my first goal when I was getting into business was to make $20,000 a month. 20,000 a month. That was my number. And I missed the goal for years, by the way, doing all kinds of other stuff that didn't bear fruit. Okay. But then when I finally got out of my own way and, really made a decision is what it comes down to. Really made a decision that, damn it, I will accomplish this or I will be a bloody corpse, one or the other. There is no more half measures, right? Once that decision was made, I hit that goal like that. Like that, it happened. So I want you to consider that. What changed? What changed? I stopped questioning my worthiness and I stopped playing to not lose. I started playing to win instead of playing to not lose. Who does that? Someone who's worthy of doing that. Back to Earl Nightingale's definition, the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Ideal, okay. So what's the ideal scene for you? Confucius say, man who shoots at nothing, sure to hit it, right? So we got to have some sort of a target, some sort of an ideal. And if it's on purpose for us, it's something that we'll never completely fulfill. I mean, if you totally fulfilled your purpose in life, I don't know, you'd probably be a poof of smoke. You wouldn't be walking around in a body anymore. But you're still here. You're still here, which means what? Which means that there's a purpose for being here. And hopefully you know what that is. And we can work on that too. But part of that must include, I think, you living life more abundantly and being of benefit, as Hal said in this chapter here, being of benefit to others as well, for all those you touch. Okay, community and anyone whose life you touch. So don't just think for a minute that your success is selfish and it's all you. And yeah, maybe you're worthy, but I'm not sure. And how's this gonna, if I take more, does that mean others get less? And all this nonsense. And we're going to dig into some like. We'll go down some philosophical rabbit holes. Not so much today. We're just going to keep it really light. But the whole idea that you can have an impact on others by you yourself becoming successful, go ahead and embrace that idea. Try that one on. Try on the idea that your success is bigger than just you. You buying Lamborghinis and mansions and whatever you're into, right? Personally, I'm over the whole Lamborghini thing. But that's the first idea. The first argument that he's making is that you're already worthy, and that is an already existing truth, which you may have been wrestling with, and maybe not. So we go on to number 2. In order for you to stop settling for less than you deserve in any area of your life, and to create the levels of personal, professional, and financial success you desire, you must first dedicate time each day to becoming the person you need to be, one who is qualified and capable of consistently attracting, creating, and sustaining the levels of success you want. I was having an interview with a magazine. They were asking me all these questions about, my writings and my seminars and all the stuff that I've been into for so long. And the final question was, John, what's one piece of advice that you could give our readers? The one thing, right? The one thing question. So if anyone's ever been, let's say you became, I'll just give you a little, I'm going to look into the crystal ball here. Okay, so I'm looking into your future, and you've become a top producer in your field. You've made a spectacle of yourself. People are going to start putting you on a pedestal, and they're going to be asking you for your secrets. And one of the things they're going to ask you is for the one thing. Is there one thing, John, that you could tell us that will transform our results? The real answer is, yeah, the one thing is to do everything. Do everything you know you should be doing, right? Have some integrity. But here was the best advice that I could offer them in this moment. The advice was, decide who you are and then be that, which is just another way of saying have some integrity, right? What is integrity? As within, so without. Structural integrity, right? The state of being whole, undivided, and undiminished, right? Not diluting yourself, being, on purpose, right? That's what I'm talking about. Decide who you are and then be that. And so what he's saying here, his second argument, what he's saying here is basically that, and that you've got to be it, right? You've got to, rather than keep settling for less, like we were just talking about self-deprecation and somehow going with an untruth that we're not worthy, that we're not able, that we can't, right? That we are victims of circumstance, and that we've got disadvantages. Okay. And yeah, I get it. We all got circumstances, and we got things that we can interpret as advantages and disadvantages. I get it. We all got a story. Nobody goes through life unscathed. Okay. But the point is to stop identifying with those blunders, those flubs, those losses in life. Stop identifying as a loser, and recognize that, yeah, those are the decisions we made. Those were the results we got. That sucked. Okay. Let's move on. Right. I'm better than that. And so what he's saying here is that you're going to become the person you need to be. And that's where personal development comes in, right? That the whole idea of here's all the nuts and bolts training. Here's the opportunity. Here's the internet, for that matter. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you with the internet. Here it is. And you can have it. And so can you, and so can everybody. Here you go. What are you going to do with it? Right? So again, more important than what you do is who's doing it. So yes, the internet exists, e-commerce exists, all this stuff exists for anybody. Who's showing up? And so he uses a magical word here: consistently, consistency. I years ago I wrote an article about the article was called "How Weightlifting Made Me Rich." It was interesting. Because I've been lifting weights for 30 years, and I noticed that there were a lot of people who had gotten their body in order, but not their bank account. And so I was writing this article to basically to attract some people who are meatheads like myself and in a gym and doing the fitness thing, but also wanted to have a bit more financial ability. And so I wrote this article, How Weightlifting Made Me Rich. And I said, I was a skinny kid. I grew up on, the New Jersey shore, and I was could never break 140 pounds. I had ribs sticking out, skinny kid, right? And I wanted to get big and strong. So I met these other guys, right? And they were, all muscle heads and stuff. And I went to the gym with them, and they taught me how to get big and strong. And there were three basic principles and that I learned. And it worked. And then you know what? It also worked in business. It worked. And would you like to know what the three things are? A little bit of a cliffhanger there. Oh, you wouldn't? Okay, we'll talk about it next time. Oh, you would? Okay, great. So the three things. Number one was consistency. Consistency. You show up in the gym every day. It's not once a week, right? Consistency. That's the trick, right? So number one was consistency. Number two was intensity. So you lift weights till you can't lift anymore, right? You want to get big and strong, you've got to break down the muscle. It's going to hurt, right? Oh, I'm a little uncomfortable. No, screw that, right? Until the muscles fail. That's how intense you go, right? And then number three was diversity or variety. In other words, you're not just doing arm curls every day, right? You do the leg squats, you do, deadlifts, you do all the different things, right? For proportion and symmetry and all that, right? So consistency, intensity, and diversity. And they didn't vocalize it that way, but what they showed me to do was certainly that. We were showing up every day. We were lifting until our muscles failed, and we were doing all different kinds of stuff. It wasn't just the same exercise over and over again. Does that make sense? Great. Do that in your business and watch what happens. The first principle, though, was consistency. And I've often said habits beat heroics. So stop settling and understand that for you to have the result that you say that you want, right? You're going to have to do some things that you didn't do before. But like the great German philosopher Goethe said, one must be something in order to do something. So doing precedes having, and being precedes doing. It's be, do, and have in that order. What he's saying to you here is, let's put in some order. Let's put in some order daily, consistently, to be that ideal self, to show up as the person who would stand head and shoulders above, the masses, the commoners, the whatever, right? Unapologetically, right? There's plenty of pie that can be had. Okay. The fact that you get more pie doesn't mean the other guy gets less. We can go make as much pie as we want. Start making pie. All success is orderly. Just like in the kitchen when you're making pie, there's a recipe to follow. Number 3, how you wake up each day and your morning routine or lack thereof, thank you, dramatically affects your levels of success in every area of your life. Focused, productive, successful mornings generate focused, productive, successful days, which inevitably create a successful life. In the same way that unfocused, unproductive, and mediocre mornings generate unfocused, unproductive, and mediocre days, and ultimately a mediocre quality of life. By simply changing the way you wake up in the morning, you can transform any area of your life faster than you ever thought possible. I've seen this play out again and again in my life. And look, just the fact that I wrote the book on personal integrity, literally, doesn't mean that I'm perfect with that. I'm just another bozo on the bus. I've just recognized how out of integrity I've been so often that just even having a little bit is like, oh, wow, spectacular. I'm special now or something, right? So here's the idea. If we apply this stuff consistently into our life, we're going to see kind of like a chart. If you look at any chart, like a statistical chart, right? The stats go up, the stats go down, right? We can actually start to measure our own consistent application of principle in our lives. We can measure that by the statistics that show up on the chart. And this may be something where you've got to overcome some inertia at first. So understand just the fact that you turned over a new leaf or something, or you decided, damn it, I'm going to do it. Now's my time. Okay, that's nice. And that's actually a statistic you could put on a chart, that elevated level of enthusiasm. That's part of how you get paid, by the way, right? Is that you feel good about your life, your purpose, and what you're doing. So that's part of your pay. And so that goes on the chart. How are you feeling? What's your emotional state, right? But here's the other thing. When you feel good, you do good. And now here comes the business, the progress, the money, right? So that's something else that's going to go on the chart, not instantaneously. So understand, when we get into income producing activities, it's not like instant gratification. I want my results now, please. Where's the microwave? No. Okay, a little bit, use your intelligence here. You gotta grow the garden before you can reap the harvest. But you may have to get over some of this inertia. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. And you may be that object in present time. So since we are observing that, maybe let's take a look. Andy, how are you, brother? Maybe let's take a look in present time and let's say, you know what? Okay, these methods that got me this far. Okay, I'll get credit for that, but you didn't come just this far just to come this far, right? So there's more to the story. What's the next chapter in the book? Okay, well, starting right now, in present time, right now, I've decided, and I'm deciding, okay, what does decision mean? That means to cut yourself off from any other possible outcome. The word decision comes from the Latin root word decidere, which means to cut off from. It's not a whimsical thing. It's a big deal, okay? So I'm deciding right now that I'm going to get up, and when you read the book, you'll see how Hal describes it. I'm going to get up 7 minutes earlier, 7 minutes. And I'm going to do these 7 things that Hal describes in the book, starting with some of the things that I talked with you about in that little welcome video, right? Just starting with some quiet time, right? Write down your goal, look at it every day. First thing when you get up, recite it, rewrite it if you like, right? Clarify a couple of things, change a few words. Oh, I like that word. Oh, I feel grateful. I feel enthusiastic. I feel accomplished now that I earn the money, and, write it all out, right? So you can see where you're going. Consider it a guaranteed future outcome. You're sitting there and you're considering that. Great. Now you're visualizing, maybe you got some pictures of something that you're going to reward yourself with once you've made the money, right? Here's the vision board, or here's the, some images. Right now I'm hot on another motorcycle. I already got a beautiful Harley, and now I'm looking at another. So that's how that goes. Okay. But there's stuff that you want in your life. And are they making those things just for other people, or did they make one for you? Well, I guess you can answer that question, right? We'll talk more about this when we get into like goal achievement and some of the stuff that I've done. By the way, all of you who are tuning in live here with the community, we're going to be doing, once you're through the accelerator process, which you should all be going through. And if you're not going through it, get with your accountability rep, and they will make sure you get access to everything you need. Okay. But once we're through all that, and you've kind of gotten oriented and you know which way is up and all that, we're going to do a business launch strategy session. And I'm going to show you everything that I did to go from 80 hours a week and miserable to millionaire. Okay. So I'll show you how I did that. But anyway, so we're taking some time to see ourselves already in possession of the good that we desire. What's another thing that I mentioned in my daily method of operation? Study. Guess what? We just read a couple of paragraphs from a book. So that qualifies, right? That we just study and that we consider how those ideas, fit into our life. Again, all this stuff is for use, right? The point of study and reading books and doing everything that we do isn't just for entertainment. There's much more entertaining things that you could be doing right now than listening to this guy, talk about, life and business and stuff. I mean, go watch kitten videos on YouTube if you want to be entertained, right? I'm sure Jennifer's son there would enjoy that, right? Probably more than who's this Italian guy talking right now. So I see you, buddy. Good to meet you. So there's that, right? We do some study. What else do we do? Exercise. Oh my goodness. You want an unfair advantage? My friends, unfair advantage. You get that, the endorphins going, not to mention the therapeutic effect of doing objective things, not subjective, not thinking and evaluations and all the significance of it. No, just touching metal or digging a hole or just checking out trees and stuff, just being there, being here now, right? That is objective. That is so huge, right? You get the blood moving a little bit, run around the block. And again, you can do, 1 minute is infinitely better than 0 minutes. We've got an epidemic on planet Earth right now of people sitting around staring at screens all day and watching Netflix and whatever else, right? You got to use the body. You've got a body. You might as well use it. You fed it. You rested it, right? Use it. If it's just 1 minute, hit the deck, do some push-ups, jumping jacks, do some burpees. You know what burpees are? It's where you jump up and you land, and then you do kind of like you kick your feet out. Your hands are on the ground, kick your feet out, right? And then get back up, jump, kick your feet out. So it's up and down, up and down. See if you can do that for a whole minute. I don't care what kind of shape you're in, you're going to feel it. So there's that. And then what's another thing we can do? See, he was talking about setting the stage for our whole day. If we start with mediocrity, we get to demonstrate mediocrity. And remember, with inertia, an object at rest tends to stay at rest. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. We could also call that momentum. But what quality of momentum? Right? If just a crawl, we're just crawling. Okay, well, then we can continue to demonstrate crawling throughout our day. And that is our standard. That is our standard. What if we raised our standards? Right? So what's the fourth thing I mentioned for those of you who've been through the welcome video? The fourth thing is to do the thing you want to do least. Do that. Some income producing activity, something that you could easily practice avoidance in that area, and then have it in the back of your mind all day that you still got to do that thing. Do it now. Get it done. Now it's off your calendar. And now you've got what? You've got the ability to look and see evidence. Yes, evidence. Wow, I'm a high integrity person. I just did that thing that I didn't even want to do, but guess what? It's done now. I don't have to do it anymore. Maybe I have to do it again tomorrow. It's a repetitive kind of a thing. Okay, fine. But still, I am not procrastinating. I am not in like Q&A mode with myself. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. No more Q&A. Done. Done. You're going to come to love that word. Done is my favorite 4-letter word in the entire vocabulary. I got other 4-letter words I like too, but done is my favorite. And that's why. Okay. See how gratifying that is. And now the rest of your day, now that it's what, 7:30 in the morning or 8 o'clock or whatever, it's your clock. Okay. I know we got people in all different time zones. Hello to my Australian friends. I know it's the middle of the night for you right now. Okay. But we're talking about you creating order and progressively realizing a worthy ideal, worthy to you. So you create the order. You decide when is your morning. There are people who work nights, right? Morning for them is, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. The point is to know the way to do it right is to know you're doing it right. To know you're doing it right. To know that you're that high integrity person. To know that you're that producer, not the excuse maker. To know that you followed Yoda's instructions. You did or you did not. By the way, that's another decision you can make. I'm cutting off this activity. That's fine. You know what? This is not resourceful. This is not on purpose. It's out. Fantastic. Fantastic. That is just as qualified for applause as anything that you've not done that you should have been doing. So we're going to do more of what works and less of what doesn't. Does that sound simple? It is. It's terribly simple. But as easy as it is to do the right thing, it's even easier to just not do it. So we've got to want it bad enough. And that's what I want to leave you with here today. I'm going to open it up for some discussion. I know I've been talking for a half hour already. Jennifer, how did that happen? What? That just happened. Half hour, poof, gone. But hopefully you got some value out of this. We got a very small, intimate crowd here today. I did tell some of our viewers who were here with us live yesterday that just know that the floodgates are about to open. They're announcing this to the whole company, to the whole community now. And so we're going to be having hundreds of people on here. So just cherish these quiet days because it's going to get loud in here. Watch what happens next. Any thoughts? I got Amanda, Andy, Gabriel, Jennifer. Any thoughts? Feel free to unmute your microphone and share any ideas or questions or anything you want. This is for you. Actually, this is for me. I'm always interested to hear what's going to come out of my mouth because I need reminders all the time. You guys get to listen in, but this is all for me, just in case you're wondering. I see Andy's got
I'd like to read.
Yes, Jennifer.
I'd like to read that article that they interviewed you or that you wrote of how weightlifting made me rich. Where can I find that?
Yeah, I'll dig that up. I'll dig that up for you, Jennifer. No problem. Yeah, it was an article years ago that I wrote, but it had a bit of an impact, right? Because two seemingly unrelated things. Like, hold on a second, you're in the gym and you're doing the meathead thing, and now wait, you're successful in business, and it's the same principles. Yeah, it's the same principles. Imagine that, right? So it got some.
It's interesting. It's interesting to me because like I love working out in the morning. Every day I do CrossFit, and so I would love to, I guess relate it with myself and how I could, do that. Do what you did or how you thought.
We'll keep showing. I'm not going to withhold anything. I'm going to show you everything that I've done to make a spectacle of myself. So, so glad you're here, and your son as well. Got one son or multiple kids or?
I have two. Luckily, my husband is off today, and so he's entertaining them over there. I have a 3-year-old and a 18-month-old.
Wow!
Keep me on my toes.
How precious. How precious. Very good. All right, Jennifer, thank you. And anybody else? Any thoughts before we wrap up for the day? Last call.
Are we going to learn the steps of what to do? Everything that the system?
Yes. Are you asking as far as Hal's book, it's all written out, or if you're asking with the accelerator, you want to get with, I think Diane is your accountability rep, Andy?
I don't know yet. I think you're my something or other.
I'm something. Yeah, it's a big important title. But the accountability rep is Diane.
Oh, Gail.
Gail, okay,
Is-
so you've been transferred to Gail, because I know Diane was reaching out to you multiple times because I sounded the alarm. Was it yesterday when you said, I don't know who my rep
Gail,
is? I'm
Gail
like,
called me
okay,
yesterday. Yeah, Gail called
fantastic.
me yesterday.
Good.
Okay.
Yep.
No, Diane didn't call me.
Okay. Well, then Gail will then be your rep moving forward. And she's going to get you on a live welcome session with me where we get to talk about some stuff. And then, yeah, you're going to be off to the races. You're going to do just fine,
Excellent.
Andy.
Excellent. I want to be
All right,
rich.
brother. Well, let's
Can
do
you-
that. You actually
Let me
already
ask you,
are. We just got to go ahead and.
Let me ask you, for you, when did you start? What was your process? I mean, how long ago did you start e-commerce?
Well, I've got multiple businesses. And what
Okay.
I do here, just so you know, what I do here is work with the community members like yourself on more of the entrepreneurship side and how we're going to apply that to e-commerce in the way that Rachel teaches it. So, and we had a question the other day, Andy, about, in fact, were you on here when someone asked, why is it called the low-hanging system? And
No,
and that's
it's
kind of a play on words, like low-hanging fruit. Like this is the easier approach than what lots of other people are attempting to do. And I can tell you that from personally witnessing it. There's a lot more complicated and costly approaches you could take to online business. So, but yeah, I've been
Yes,
online. Yes, excuse me.
So my question is, I guess, on average, let's see, how long would it take, I don't know, to make 3, 5, 10,000 a month or whatever?
Mhm. Okay, so a common question, and there are no averages, nor are you here to be average. If that's your goal, then we're in the wrong
No,
conversation.
it's
Right.
not, but that's why I want to know average so I can go from there.
Okay. So really, we talked about standards, and I'm glad you brought this up because people's standards are different. One of the things that I want to do is help raise people's standards so they can make it worth their effort, right? So I think, like in my case, when I was looking to transition out of the workaday world, 20,000 a month was my target, and I reached that in 90 days. Now that's just my world. Okay, so and my best month so far is 200,000 in a month. So
is that doable in this one system?
it's
or is
doable.
it
Look, anything will work. There's great questions coming from Andy today. Anything will work. Anything can work. Okay. The most important piece of that is the why and the who. So here's
Why is
just to
big?
give-
The who, I don't know.
well, the who is you. So
Then yes.
okay, so we need to find that guy. We need to.
The why, I have a big why.
Okay. Well, good, because we don't want to be vague about that. You know, vague
Right.
gets us vagueness.
Bigness, right.
So you know what, we're going to run out of time here. But what I want to do, Andy, if you haven't already booked your welcome session with me, there's a live welcome session I do with all new members.
Yeah, not
Get
yet. I
with
want to
Gail.
do some other stuff first.
Okay. Well, yeah, get with Gail and get on that because I want to have some time with you. Okay. So very
Yep.
good. Thank you, guys. We'll wrap up. I will see you
Thank
back
you.
here tomorrow. Oh, my pleasure. You're welcome. I'll see you back here tomorrow, same bat time. In the meantime,